Distinguished guests, at this time, we'd like to ask that you all please rise if you are able and remove your caps for the presentation of colors by the Long Beach Poly JROTC Color Guard. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. Thank you. The Long Beach Poly JROTC Color Guard is under the direction of retired Lieutenant Colonel Hines. And now please welcome to the stage Executive Director of Leadership Long Beach, Sean Devereaux.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. It is our pleasure from Leadership Long Beach to bring to you a candidates forum. This is directly in line with the mission of Leadership Long Beach, to inform, activate, and connect our community to everything that's going on in our community, and not the least of which is to have an opportunity to meet the folks who want to be our local leaders. So tonight we have representatives from all of the elected races that will be on the upcoming ballot. And to hear a little bit about the logistics of how the voting works and how all of this stuff comes together, I would really like to introduce Monique de la Garza, our city clerk, to walk you through some of the logistics.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for coming. I'd like to take just a few moments to talk about some information on the March 5th election. These are the races that are going to be in the election. Districts 2, 4, 6, 8. We have a Measure RW, and Long Beach Unified School Board 2 is also going to be on the ballot. If I can have the next slide. Also want to talk about some key dates for everybody to remember. You probably have your sample ballot booklets already. All your vote by mail ballots have been mailed and will continue to be mailed out. February 1st, all the vote by mail ballots started going out. February 20th was the last day to register to vote. If you wanted to change your voter registration, you can always do same-day registration at vote centers if you've missed the 20th deadline. And February 24th, this Saturday, is when vote centers, our 11-day vote centers, will start opening, and March 5th is Election Day. You can vote now anywhere in LA County, which I think is important for everybody to remember. There's also drop boxes all over LA County, and in Long Beach, we have 21 vote centers that will be open starting March 2nd, and we also have 6 that are 11-day vote centers. We have 17 drop boxes in the city. If you go to longbeach.gov, city clerk's webpage, we have all those locations handy for you, and we do have maps for you to see. If you would like to take a look in the lobby, we do have those for you also. Also want to talk a little bit about the importance of local elections. So local elections decide so many things that affect our daily lives, how our tax dollars are spent. Are they spent on transit? Are they spent on schools, our roads? And local elections really get decided by a single vote. So I encourage everybody to remember to vote on March 5th, particularly in your local elections where it makes such a big difference. These are people you're voting on for your school board, for your college, for your council districts. And those are people who make decisions that affect everyday life, things that don't get taken care of on the national level but do on the local level. So I encourage everybody to remind your friends and family, vote on March 5th, vote in the local election. I'd like to hand it back over to Sean.
Thank you so much, Monique. Thank you, thank you. Leadership Long Beach is powered by volunteers. In fact, this entire engagement that you are participating in was planned, orchestrated, conducted, shopped for, all of those things done by a crew of very dedicated volunteers. Truly, all of the events and programs that Leadership Long Beach puts together are driven by volunteers. And there is no more committed volunteer for Leadership Long Beach than those who serve on our board of directors. I'd like to bring up Angelica Wheaton, who is the secretary of the board for Leadership Long Beach, to provide a little welcome as well.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. On behalf of Leadership Long Beach and the board of directors, we'd like to thank the Aquarium of the Pacific, the Long Beach City Clerk's Office, the Long Beach Poly Junior ROTC program, Laz Parking, and I'd like to then introduce our moderators. And so we have Rolando Cruz, Amaya Pittman, and Dana Buchanan. Thank you so much.
And moderators, if you'd like to give a little introduction of yourselves, that'd be great too.
Okay, good day. My name is Rolando Cruz. I'm a recent retiree from the city of Culver City, just 6 months in. I graduated from the Leadership Long Beach Institute in 2010 and served a couple years on the board and was president from 15 through 17. Amaya?
Hi, my name is Amaya Pittman. I am a junior at McBride High School, and I am the Youth Leadership Long Beach class of 2023.
Hi. My name is Dana Buchanan. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I live and own a business in Long Beach. I'm also the class of 2010, and I'm a fierce upholder of the Leadership Long Beach 14 principles.
Okay, so we're ready and we're excited to begin the forum. So before we do, we would ask that you think deeply about your community, your concerns, your thoughts, and your passions, and how the people you choose to lead this city and our community will embody the spirit of all you care about. We've learned through Leadership Long Beach that community engagement is an important step to an increased awareness of how to make a difference in the world that we live in.
Thank you to the entire team of Leadership Long Beach alums and volunteers who put this forum together, especially those from our adult and youth programs, and for the cooperation and support from the Aquarium of the Pacific and the Long Beach City Clerk's Office. This is the 4th Candidates Forum Leadership Long Beach has sponsored, having done our first in 2014 and our most recent in October 2022.
And before we start with our first group of candidates, I'd like to take care of a few housekeeping items. First, we want to turn your cell phones off, put them in silence, or to vibrate. We also ask that you hold your applause until the end of each panel session. We thank you for your cooperation. Here's the rules. They're listed up here. Please turn off your cell phones. Please hold applause until after each panel of candidates. We want to ensure that all candidates can be clearly heard and are given equal time. Be respectful of all the speakers. Individuals who disrupt the event will be asked to leave. We ask for no political signs in the auditorium. No food is allowed in the auditorium. Water is the only beverage permitted in the auditorium. The forum is being live streamed and recorded, So please be mindful of your behavior.
And so tonight, we'll be hearing from candidates running for the Long Beach Unified School District, Board of Education District 2, Long Beach City Council Districts 2, 4, 6, and 8. We'll also be hearing more about Measure RW, the hotel worker minimum wage ballot measure. The forum will follow a format where all candidates and speakers will be asked to make an opening statement. Once each candidate has completed their 1-minute opening statement, a moderator will begin by asking question 1. Each candidate will be asked to provide a 1-minute response to each question. There will be 4 questions. Following the question and answer portion, each candidate will then provide a 1-minute closing statement. The questions were determined by Leadership Long Beach alums, local partner organizations, and other stakeholders. We appreciate all the questions we received. Many of those questions will be considered for use in the general election, as there will be more time with the candidates. Remember, this is a forum, not a debate, so no rebuttal statements will be permitted.
Okay, so let's get started with the candidates for school board. Remembering the policies and priorities for running our public schools are set by a locally elected school board and are implemented by district staff under the direction of the superintendent. Trustees, school board members, governing board members, no matter what you call them, they are locally elected public officials whose job is to govern the public schools in our community. School board members are elected to ensure that our local schools represent the values of the community. They are members of the community and live in the districts where they serve. In Long Beach, voters elect 5 Board of Education members by geographic area to serve 4-year terms. Okay, we'd like to begin with the race in District 2, which is located in West Long Beach. It's the only contested race for school board this year. The candidates running for this position are Eric Miller and Jerlene Tatum.
Welcome, Mr. Miller and Ms. Tatum. Thanks so much for being here. We'll start with Mr. Miller, as he is listed first on the ballot. His 1-minute opening statement will be followed by Ms. Tatum's 1-minute opening statement. In order to help you manage the length of your remarks, we're using a card system. A yellow card will be held up when you have 15 seconds remaining, and a red card when you're out of time. The timer's right here. Mr. Miller, your 1-minute opening statement, please.
Well, first off, thank you all for coming out today. I know that there are plenty of places you could be on this Thursday evening, but you're here listening to us, which is important for those that are invested into our city and really into our school district. I'm just humbled. I'm very humbled. I'm a man who has grown up in this city. I grew up in Central Long Beach, and I was very, very fortunate to have the support of great mentors and a great organization called Operation Jumpstart that helped me be the first in my family to go to college. They were the ones that really planted the idea that I could be more than what my environment had told me. Often they tell black men that you either have to play sports or be in some form of entertainment to break a cycle of poverty. And thanks to their help, I was able to help. I went on to work for them, and from there, I was able to help hundreds of kids go on and break that cycle of poverty, and now I've been on the board for the past 3 years now. And so with your help, I'll look for re-election. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Tatum, please make your 1-minute opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerlene Tatum, and I'm first on the ballot, by the way. I am an education advocate, business owner, nonprofit professional, mother of 4. I'm also the 2007 alum of Leadership Long Beach, as well as a Long Beach Unified School District alum. And it's actually just a privilege to be here. Just thinking from 2007 to now has been an amazing journey for me. And over those years, I have proven myself to my community that I'm about advocacy and making sure community voice is heard. I'm running in this race because there's some things that are very important to our district, such as regular communication, increase of school counselors, and collaborating with district and staff. And I plan on leading with integrity, leadership, and compassion, just as I learned in Leadership Long Beach.
Thank you, Ms. Tatum.
Let's move on to your first question. You'll have 1 minute to answer this question. Let's start with you, Ms. Tatum. At Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. On the table in front of you is a list of those principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
The first one, integrity. I've chosen to live my life with integrity, and one thing that I often remember is the lesson on integrity that was taught at Leadership Long Beach, and we didn't know that we were learning about integrity, and we had to hold up this thing, and it was really wobbly, and no matter how hard we tried, we just couldn't get it straight. And it was about, you have to be in unison, and your principles have to be aligned to live in integrity. So, integrity.
Thank you, Ms. Tatum. Mr. Miller, it's your turn. Let me repeat the question. At Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. On the table in front of you is a list of those principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
Obviously, all 14 are very important, but I would say from a school district standpoint, it's accountability. We are a public education system, and with the public education system, our role is to be representatives of the community that we represent. And so from there, I think that it has been a bit ambiguous with the Long Beach Unified School District in regards to the values that we hold. And so with my tenure on the board, we have firm board goals in place that we can be held accountable to. When it comes to Black student achievement, when it comes to our English language learners, and when it comes to our students with disabilities.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Let's move on to the next question. This time we'll start with you, Mr. Miller. What lived experiences, both personal and professional, have prepared you for this position?
Well, as I said in my opening statement, I grew up here. I'm a man from humble beginnings. I've come from the same neighborhood that I represent right there in Central Long Beach, and I've come through the same schools of a lot of the kids that I represent. To that, I know what it's like to feel as though you're unvalued or not valued enough. As a young Black man in our school district, there were times where there weren't very many kids that looked like me. There weren't very many kids who were getting opportunities in regards to academic achievement and opportunities when it comes to being celebrated for their aptitude. And so that is something that I want for all of our students, but more importantly, our kids that don't feel valued, our kids that kids that are vulnerable in our city. We're talking about our Black and brown students in particular, and that is what I like to think that my role as a school board member I represent and what I hope to bring to the district.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. You're next, Ms. Tatum. Let me repeat the question. What lived experiences, both personal and professional, have prepared you for this position?
Personal. Personal live experience is just the adversary, the challenges and barriers that I had growing up in Long Beach and my family, just to graduate at the top of my class and go off to college, and what I had to, the energy that I had to put into it and the focus to be successful at that. Professionally, experiences working in corporate and sitting at the table where I was unwanted, being a Black female, and was ridiculed, or even and having to keep a good face even in that. I believe that prepared me. And then also personally, just my experiences in community with standing with families who've lost loved ones, who've been wrongfully accused, in situations where resources are being stripped from my community, where I've had to stand on the forefront and fight for them, and do it at risk of myself, at risk of my own body, in a sense, and on the forefront.
Thank you, Ms. Tatum.
Okay, Ms. Tatum, you ready for question 3? All right, so what do you believe are the 2 most critical contributions you can make in your role as a school board member?
2 most. Being available. Being available and being open to learn. Being available, meaning that meeting community where they are, not always wanting them to come to me as a leader or to the institution or the organization, but meeting community exactly where they are. And I believe that that's something that I already do, I already live for my community. And regular communication, and learning, always being open to learn what's actually happening in my community, and accepting that my idea may not be the right idea. My perception may not be the right perception, because everyone has their own lived experience, and being open enough to, and compassionate enough to realize that my story is not the most important story.
Well, thank you, Ms. Tatum. It's your turn, Mr. Miller. Let me repeat the question. What do you believe are the two most critical contributions you can make in your role as a school board member?
So the district has a couple of really big items coming up. One is a $1.7 billion construction bond that the city helped us pass most recently. Now, when it comes to these projects, two projects are going to be happening directly in my district. One at Long Beach Poly, the other one at Washington Middle School. And we're talking about a little bit shorter than, hold your breath, $800 million worth of work. With all of this construction, we're talking about a lot of opportunities for employment. I have a history as the previous executive director of PV Jobs in helping people from some of the most vulnerable parts of our city find jobs in their local environment, and I plan to use that as a tool to continue to help young men and young women in our city. The second piece is our strategic plan. As you heard, I was the executive director of PV Jobs, and I've been in leadership roles over multi-million-dollar organizations for the past 14 years, and I plan to use those skill sets to help the district move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, our final question. We have seen a rise in legislation across the U.S. targeting LGBTQ+ students, including book bans, limiting discussions by teachers, and targeting trans kids. How can LBSUSD create and support a safe and nurturing environment for LGBTQ+ kids?
Well, one of the first things that we've done thus far is passed an equity and excellence policy by the Long Beach Unified School District. And we made sure that all communities are represented and are going to be in this document is going to be the framework for all of the decisions made throughout the district. We're talking about when it comes to our budget, when it comes to our personnel, and when it comes to policy. And when we're speaking to representing all students, especially our LGBTQ community, we will continue to use this framework to make sure that all students are represented, feel supported and loved, and make sure that they have caring adults around them as well.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Tatum, let me repeat the question. We have seen a rise in legislation across the U.S. targeting LGBTQ+ students, including book bans, limiting discussions by teachers, and targeting trans kids. How can LBUSD create and support a safe and nurturing environment for LGBTQ+ kids?
The first thing is listen to our children and listen to their needs. Us as adults, sometimes we think we know it all, and we don't. And so we're putting things in place that is not even true or reflective to the needs of our children. And also, I mean, I think this is where the compassion comes in. My thing is we have to love people where they are, in their humanity. And I don't, and all the labels and different things that we subscribe to, I think it creates division. And also, part of that have to understand that not all parents are understanding to their children, yet parents still need to be part of that conversation. So maybe something that can happen is support groups for parents that don't know how to properly support their children, that may be sharing something, you know, a life-changing thing for them. But to create an environment so that parents can learn from other parents. And my children have taught me, like, when it comes to certain things, because I was a little rigid, and I'm not now.
Thank you, Ms. Tatum. Let's move on to closing statements. We'll start with Ms. Tatum. Please share your 1-minute closing statement.
I believe that student outcomes should be on the forefront of every decision made by the Long Beach Unified School District and its staff. In order to do that, we can't allow politics to rule or run our school district in the way that it has. We have to be able to live, the district has to be able to live by these principles. And I believe that once elected, that I will be true to that because I've lived these principles. Am I perfect? No. Constantly growing, constantly learning, and willing to step into this role knowing that I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn what it takes to be a successful leader for my community.
Thank you, Ms. Tatum. Mr. Miller, your closing statement, please.
Well, first off, I just wanted to follow up and say thank you again for everybody coming out. When it comes to why I'm here and asking for your support, it's because I have a lot of unfinished business since I've been in this role. I've talked a little bit about the large construction bond that's been passed, and I want to make sure that those jobs are locally hired and are supported by our local unions. I also want to make sure that our strategic plan that is really focused on shrinking the achievement gap between our Black and brown communities and the rest of the district becomes a priority, a higher priority, that has true attainable goals. To that, my time at the district, my first 3 years has been a learning experience. It was right in the middle of a pandemic. I have been very, very humbled at the information that I've learned, but I have still a lot of unfinished business. So to that, obviously, I'm here asking for your help and your support. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. This concludes the race for the Long Beach Unified School Board District 2 position.
Long Beach Unified School Board Member Doug Otto is seeking re-election for District 4, which is located in the southeast Long Beach. He's running unopposed. As per our previous forums, when a candidate is unopposed, we invited Mr. Otto here tonight to say a few words, but he was unable to attend. This concludes the school board portion of our forum. Thank you for everyone for your attention and support. We're going to take a short break and continue promptly at 6:45 when we get to hear more about Measure RW, the hotel worker minimum wage ballot measure.
bring 2 or 3 of my big cameras next time.
All right, let's go ahead and continue on with our forum. And we're going to have a conversation or a presentation on Measure RW, the hotel worker minimum wage ballot measure that was placed on the ballot by the City Council. So tonight we have here with us Ms. Nada Tushnet, community leader, Women of Long Beach, who will speak in favor of the measure, and Ms. Corliss Lee, president of Eastside Voice, who will speak against the measure. So each speaker will have 2 minutes to present their case. We'll then be asking 3 questions each, where each speaker will have an opportunity to provide a 1-minute response, followed by a 1-minute closing statement. So in order to help you manage the length of your remarks, we're using a card system. A yellow card will be held up here when you have 15 seconds remaining, and a red card when you're out of time. Okay? So from the voter guide, here's how the measure reads. It's up there, but I'm going to go ahead and read it out. Shall the measure increasing the minimum wage for qualifying hotel workers from $17.55 per hour to $23 per hour on July 1st, 2024, gradually increasing annually to $29.50 per hour by July 1st, 2028, applying cost of living increases starting July 1st, 2029, clarifying wages and service charges paid to qualifying hotel workers, and authorizing the council to make future amendments to the city's hotel worker minimum compensation standards starting June 1st, 2029 be adopted.
Here we go. We'll start with Ms. Tushnet. Please provide us with your 2-minute statement on why voters should support this ballot measure.
Okay, so Measure RW modifies an earlier measure and it raises the minimum wage for hospitality workers, as you've heard. It is currently $17.55 an hour. The underlying reason, there are a couple of underlying reasons. One is that the cost of living has risen faster than anticipated when the original measure was passed, which means that our hospitality workers are behind every day they go to work. The other part of that is because not only has the cost of living risen, but the cost of housing has risen, as we know, phenomenally, which means that most hotel workers, hospitality workers, cannot afford to live in our city, which means that we are deprived as a city of their spending, their salaries, and their earnings in our city. They get on a bus or take their car and go away. That's where they spend their money, and it would increase our own revenues if we increase the wages for hospitality workers. Hospitality workers comprise a large portion of workers in our city, second only to education and healthcare. And as we face FIFA and the Olympics, we will need a steady hotel worker employees. We want to keep them here, we want them to spend their money here, and we want them to be able to live decent lives here. The other part of, I've got to stop. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Teschnett. Ms. Lee, please provide your 2-minute statement on why voters should reject this ballot measure.
Well, if you look at the title of this, Measure RW Long Beach Hotel Worker Minimum Wage, you get the impression that it's all the hotel workers that are going to enjoy this large raise. And the fact is, if you read the fine print in here, it comes down to that there are 27 hotels in Long Beach, and this measure is applicable to just 3 of them. Just 3 non-union hotels, the Maya, the Hilton, and the Renaissance. Now, why would the Unite Here Local 11 union want non-union hotel workers to enjoy the guarantee of a higher minimum wage than their own union workers are getting? This is a deceptive measure. This measure is increasing the minimum wage for hotel workers is not what this measure is about. The truth is that the Measure RW is a bargaining tool for union interests. Measure RW also removes the public's right to vote on the minimum wage for hotel workers in the future. City Council in the future would make all these decisions. Now, they had the bad taste to even put this on the ballot. If you follow what was going on with this, the City Council staff report on increasing minimum wage said that any economic analysis put out there says that a minimum wage increase will result in a variety of unintended negative economic effects. Can I still have time? Evidence suggests that minimum wages lead to a number of negative economic consequences in the long run. For significant real inflation-adjusted minimum wage increases, including a potential reduction in the number of jobs for low-skilled workers. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Let's move on to our questions. You'll have 1 minute to answer. We'll start with Ms. Lee. Question 1. The city has announced that the Hard Rock Hotel is coming to downtown Long Beach after the City Council agreed to move forward with this ballot measure. If major brand hotels, such as the Hard Rock, are not concerned about this minimum wage increase, why should the voters be concerned?
Well, I don't know if the Hard Rock Cafe has union or non-union personnel, but what this targets is the non-union hotels. What this is about is trying to get all of the hotels in Long Beach to go union. That's the, if you go through this, the measure it advocates for the Measure RW. It's seeking to weaponize public sympathy for those that have low-paying jobs. it's really only affecting 3 hotels. So when you say other hotels are coming here, I don't know if they're union or non-union.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Ms. Tushnet, here's your question. The ballot measure exempts workers who are represented by a collective bargaining agreement. Why shouldn't union members be provided the same level of minimum compensation? This appears to be an indirect incentive to encourage hotel operators to support unionization of the workforce.
So I'm going to answer that in terms of what unions do and don't do. One of the things that unions actually stand for all workers, members or not. And so they work hard to increase the good living for all workers. Non-union, the hotel workers unions have actually had bargained for a number of measures that go far outside what's in the wages, including limits on the number of rooms or the square footage, because room size varies, square footage of rooms, no forced overtime, and those matters that matter a great deal to individuals who work at low-wage jobs. In fact, by and large, the union jobs actually pay more altogether than the non-union jobs.
Thank you, Ms. Tushnet.
Okay, let's move on to our second question, and we'll start this time with you, Ms. Tushnet. Okay, so here's the question. The proposed wage increase would place hotel workers' compensation higher than many other industries and higher than many employee classifications. Why should hotel workers make more than clerks, detention officers, and lifeguards? Why is the measure only focused on one industry when your arguments would seem to apply to the city and many other industries?
So I think that the other workers should have higher wages as well, but that is not under the purview of what can be accomplished with a ballot measure. There is something that is grating on me when we say, why should those people earn more, when we're talking about those people as low-wage workers with an assumption that they don't have skills. I make one bed every day. I don't change the sheets, and that is hard labor. They don't have fitted sheets. That's hard work. It is work that has led to high injury in that industry, in the hotel industry. It is not what one would think of as an easy job. It is a difficult job, as are the other jobs, I agree. And they all should be paid more, but this is one way to do it for one group of workers.
Thank you, Ms. Tushnet. So here's your question, Ms. Lee. Your argument on Measure RW states that it threatens cuts in essential city services. Would you please explain what city services would be cut by this measure?
Well, if you look at things like all the city services like safety and your traffic and your streets, all of those city services are going to be affected if you have to raise the price for this particular group. Now, once again, this is really about the union trying to get 3 hotels to go union. That's really what this is all about. And if you look at the Press Telegram today, they came out saying that they are also against this measure. This measure is deceptive.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lee.
Let's move on to our 1-minute closing statements. We'll start with Ms. Tushnet.
Okay, so my closing statement is that, in fact, our hotel workers deserve this raise. And also, there's another part that the service charges that are on hotel bills now go directly to the people who provide the service, not to the employers, which is an important issue because we're paying it and it's not going for service. It is an important, the data on minimum wage and jobs is that there is frequently a immediate dip in jobs in the community, and then it rises. Seattle is the best example. There have been many studies about that. And I think that it is important for us to make sure that our city is a city that is a place where people want to both live and work and be able to live where they work. That makes for a richer culturally, rich city, and it makes for a better city for all of us.
Thank you, Ms. Teschnet. Ms. Lee, your closing statement, please.
The Unite Here Hotel Union is using this measure to play hardball. They have thus far failed to entice the workers at these 3 hotels to unionize. So now, if they can get the voters to pass this deceptive measure, it will raise labor costs significantly enough to require the non-union hotels to raise their room rates. They will lose business to their competitors, and that will pressure these 3 hotels into going union. And that is what this measure is really about.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. This concludes the ballot measure portion of our forum. Please join me in thanking our courageous speakers for being with us tonight. Let's take a few minutes break as we get ready to hear from our candidates from Long Beach City Council. We'll begin promptly at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Oh, 7:05.
Two.
Okay, let's get started. We're now ready to hear from our city council candidates from districts 2, 4, 6, and 8. All right, so the Long Beach City Council is the governing body of the city. The council is composed of 9 members elected from single-member districts for 4-year terms. This year, the council seats in even districts are up for election. That includes, again, the districts 2, 4, 6, and 8. We'll start with the candidates from District 2.
We're sorry to report that Ms. Allen was unable to attend the forum tonight, and Ms. Zaidi has officially withdrawn from the race. With that said, please welcome Ms. Ketty Chiterio. Candidate, sorry about that, Ketty.
Okay.
I said it many times before, but you know. For the 2nd District Council seat, we're keeping with our planned format. Ms. Chiterio will ask to make a 1-minute opening statement. We'll then ask her 4 questions, followed by a 1-minute closing statement. In order to help you manage the length of your remarks, we're using the card system. A yellow card will be held up when you have 15 seconds remaining, and a red card for when you're out of time. Please give us your opening statement.
Buonasera, good evening, guten Abend, Wan Shan Hao, buenas noches. My name is Ketty Chiterio. I am originally from Italy. We have a different history, a different background, different food, different languages, and yet we have something that unites us, which is a strong sense of community. I've been a community activist from the day I moved to Long Beach. I moved here 10 years ago. I've been with Friends of Bixby Park because I wanted to make my park happier and safer for everybody. I've been doing daily outreach on a volunteer basis and helping unhoused people find homes. I don't understand why the city cannot do the same. I can do it on a small scale, we can do it on a smaller scale. We are community, we don't feel hurt. Our question to the city go unanswered. I walk the walk, I'm not just lip services, I'm going in. Thank you.
Just a reminder of
That's
the
it.
rules, hold the applause to the very end of this session. Thanks.
Let's move on to your first question. You'll have 1 minute to answer each question, and you will be asked 4 questions. Values are one of the principles integral to Leadership Long Beach. What event in your life has had significant impact on the values that shape you as a leader?
Wow. I am a community member. I have given back because I have a very privileged life. So from day one of my life in the United States, I've been thankful and giving back any way I can. I think I've shown my community that I can do that. I've been called when people are in need. People know that they can find help, and I never ask anything back. Oh, I still have more time. Yes, I'm a pillar of my community. Can I say that? Yes. I think everybody has my phone number, so yes, they reach out to me when they cannot get any help elsewhere, and I do my best to help out.
Thank you, Ms. Chiterio.
Let's move on to question 2. What lived experiences, both personal and professional, have prepared you for this position?
I think every day on the ground, talking to the community, keeping an open conversation with my neighbors, with my friends. I hear it all, we share, we try to solve the problems of Long Beach every day. Every day with my wife, we take a walk on the bluff or on the beach, and we're talking about what we face every day. We face all the unhoused people we encounter on our walk, all the trash we see in our beaches, and we always try to figure out why we can't solve it, why the city makes so much money, and yet we still face all the things every day. I think communication with the community is key. Listening and learning. Yes, that's pretty much it. Open conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, so question 3. The city is projecting a 28 million deficit in fiscal year 2025, and that cuts may be necessary. What programs, positions, or services would you cut to address the deficit?
I want to invest in outside study of where the money goes, because the city makes a lot of money and somehow there's never enough money. So that's what I want to do if I get elected.
What about the cuts?
Oh, about the cuts? Well, after we find out where the money goes, I don't think we're going to need any cut.
Here's your final question before your closing statement. Why would someone vote for you?
Why? Because I listen to people.
Thank you. It's time for your closing statement.
My closing statement is I walk the walk. I'm not just lip service. Everybody who knows me knows that I get things done. I had no intention of running in politics, but I find myself doing so, and I'm getting so much support because a lot of people like me, part of the community, do not feel heard. So let's bring the community back into government. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're going to move over to 6 because 4 is not here yet. Yes. So we are moving. District 4 is here? No. So 7:25.
Wherever you would like, sir. Good luck, sir.
Okay. So we are going to jump to District 6. We're still waiting on the candidates from District 4. So we'll start off with City Council District 6. Unfortunately, Ms. Sarro is unable to attend tonight. With that said, we're going to be welcoming Mr. Cristino Pinto, a candidate for District 6 council seat. We're going to keep with our planned format. Mr. Pinto will be asked to make a 1-minute opening statement. Then we'll ask him 4 questions, followed by a 1-minute closing statement. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Pinto. And Mr. Pinto, we appreciate you being here in order to manage and help with the length of your remarks. Just as a reminder, we're using the card system. You're going to see the yellow card with giving you 15 seconds and the red card when your time is out. So
Let's start with your opening statement. You will have 1 minute. Thank you.
Yes, sir. First of all, I like to say, I can skip that. I like to say hi, hello, everybody. And then I hope you guys feeling good. And I feel like truly appreciated. I like to say that I'm deeply disappointed how my district is in trouble. Means, look how we live. Start with the business. Start with the homelessness, safeness. Well, we have to take action, and the action should be now. We have to get things done now, because otherwise we can afford to get in worse. Otherwise, the city wouldn't even have money to afford.
Let's move on to the first of our 4 questions. There is a paper with the leadership principles in front of you. Question 1, values are one of the principles integral to leadership Long Beach. What event in your life has had a significant impact on the values that shape you as a leader?
Well, as a leader, I will say that I am a community leader internationally. I have a great organization called Voice of Angola in the Diaspora, which means my leadership is look into the community, look into the needs of the people. Not too long ago, I stopped by in a house where an elderly lady, her son in the military, in the army, and then she have a daughter that cannot even do anything because of handicap. And then she said, look, my yard. I called the city many times, never got back to me for the problems I have. Look at the grass, how it is in my yard. And then I said, don't worry, I will come back, cut your grass, and clean your yard. That is the leadership I'm talking about. That is the community, the leader in the community needs to help the people, connect with the people, connect with the leaders.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto.
Okay, so kind of related to that, this is what the next question is, Mr. Pinto. So how would the people you have worked with you describe your leadership style?
The people I work with describe my leadership based on what and the action and efficiency and then the result that I bring to them. Basically, I advocated for right to vote in the diaspora. I achieved it. In Angola, not too long ago, 2021, Angolians live abroad, they couldn't vote in the diaspora. I tackled that. I bring leaders from different aisle of the party in the country. Now you can check it out, you see, it's done.
Thank you.
And here's your third question. What will you do to attract and retain businesses in the 6th district?
I already started. Connect with the business leaders, community leaders. What I hear all the time, hey, we have safety problem. We can afford to continue have the open doors because we're afraid. Every business, every place I go, they have concerns about safetyness. They do. I do too. You do too. And that's what I like to tackle and trying to fix that.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto.
Okay, so here's the last question before your closing statement. The city is projecting a $28 million deficit in fiscal year 2025, and that cuts may be necessary. What programs, positions, or services would you cut to address the deficit?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't cut anything yet until I bring expert people, experience in the areas that actually referring to finances or the way or where we decide to cut, which means what I'm trying to say is I have to bring leaders from every department, supervisors, experts to really discuss and access the ideas or discuss in the sense of that we can find where to cut before even decide to cut. So in other words, I have to listen to everybody else that's part of the team and assess where to cut and how to cut.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto.
Thank you.
It's time for your closing statement. Mr. Pinto, let's hear your 1-minute closing statement, please.
Thank you. Well, I decided to run just because the city, the community, in big trouble. I decided to run because I see so many problems in the community: homelessness, safetyness, business closing down, closing the doors. There is a problem that needs to be addressed. I think it's a time to bring a community together, to bring new ideas, new talents, do something, take advantage of the new generation. The people have a brain, have a good input that can contribute to the community. We can afford community that losing the sense of community. We now losing the sense of community. We need to bring this back. We need to bring the sense of family, integration, inclusion, and equality. It is important because otherwise we're not going to have no longer community with the values.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto. That concludes our District 6 forum. Please join me in thanking our candidates.
So looking at the names, it looks like we're moving on to District 8. So please welcome Ms. Tanua Thrash Intuk and Dr. Sharifa Batts. Okay, so we're going to review the format briefly again, just to make sure everyone knows what's going on. Each candidate's going to be afforded the 1-minute opening statement. We'll then ask 4 questions to each one of you. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. Each candidate will then have an opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. Remember, this is a forum, not a debate, so no rebuttal statements will be allowed. In order to help you manage the length of your remarks, we're using the card system. Again, she's going to flash the yellow card right here. And then when there's 15 seconds remaining, and a red card when you're out of time.
So we'll start in order as listed on the city clerk's website. Let's start with you, Ms. Thrashentuk. Let's hear your 1-minute opening statement, please.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much to Leadership Long Beach for hosting tonight's forum. I'm Tanua Thrash Intuk, and I'm running for Long Beach City Council District 8. As the first in my family to go to college, as a nonprofit executive director and president, I spend every day focused on public service. Over the course of my career, I have ensured that we built more than 5,000 units of affordable housing. So I'll make sure, as a council person, that we have the policy and the resources to get that done. I also focus on ensuring that small businesses have what they need so that we can make sure that there are jobs and economic opportunity in community. It's critical that our communities, specifically the 8th District, are a safe place to live. And with the support of the endorsers that I have, as well as the experience, I anticipate ensuring that I'll be working with neighborhood leaders to make sure that we have a safe and viable community in the 8th District. I look forward to sharing more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thrash Intuk. Dr. Batts, you're next. Let's hear your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Sharifa Batts, and I am running for the 8th District City Council seat. I was born and raised in Long Beach. I have 4 generations who call North Long Beach home and have called it home for over 30 years. I am currently the head of environment and sustainability, have spent 15 years in safety, and I'm also a small business owner here in Long Beach. My husband and I are the proud parents of 2 daughters who went through Longfellow, Hughes, and Pauley, where I was the PTSA president, as well as grad night president. I currently have an AA degree from Long Beach City College, a BA degree from San Diego State, and an MBA and a doctorate degree from Pepperdine University. I have a solid sense of commitment for the 8th District, and we're going to champion good paying jobs, public safety, supporting business development, taking care of those sidewalks, trees, and streets with the potholes, and developing an environmental initiative.
Thank you, Dr. Batts.
Let's move into questions now. We'll begin with Dr. Batts. Here's your question. At Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. On the table in front of you is a list of those principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
I have on my rock I'm part of Leadership Long Beach 2024, and of course all of these principles are great for leaders, but on my rock I have the word integrity, because integrity to me is the core value, and it aligns all the other principles. Leaders who demonstrate high integrity, they gain the trust and the respect from their colleagues and community members, and we are making ethical choices, and we're not afraid of the truth. And we have a personal responsibility to hold people accountable. And I have the courage to stand up for what my community believes in, and I promote teamwork so we can work together as a team. I am a leader with high integrity, one who does not owe any group except for the residents in the 8th District. I am someone who will be honest, always do the right thing, and value being a champion for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Batts. Ms. Thrash Intuk, Let me repeat the question. At Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. On the table in front of you is a list of those principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
Great question. The one for me that really stood out was service. At the height of the COVID pandemic, so many of us had no idea what life was going to be like. We didn't know if we were going to live or die. We didn't know when we were going to be able to get a solution. As a leader, instead of just closing my doors, watching TV, I decided that it was really important to use my time to ensure that communities had what they needed. I'm proud to say that during that time, I was instrumental in ensuring that we had food banks in North Long Beach. I was instrumental in making sure LA County had resources, moving more than $100 million into small businesses and nonprofits. We wanted to make sure that we continued to have jobs and we continued to have resources flowing. So in terms of what happens when times get tough, I am the kind of leader who stands up and says, it's time to get to work. We want to make sure that we have public servants in these roles here in Long Beach.
Thank you, Ms. Thrashentuk.
Let's move on to question 2. We'll start with you, Ms. Thrashentuk. What specific policies or initiatives would you advocate to improve the conditions for small businesses in your district?
Fantastic question. In the work that I do every day as a nonprofit executive director and president, I focus on the needs of small businesses. Small businesses absolutely need access to capital. That's why I'm proud to say that I worked with the City of Long Beach to help create its first micro-lending program with the Kiva initiative prior to the pandemic. Making sure that businesses get access to capital is really critical. So that would be one in particular. In the 8th District, we've got commercial corridors that are absolutely in need of small businesses, and we need to attract them there. Just like we're using resources to support those with housing, there should be an opportunity to jumpstart some businesses starting in the 8th District by supporting rent relief for those businesses there. And for the fees that businesses need to pay, specifically for the 8th District, I'd really look at how can we bring down and or eliminate those fees so that we can encourage current businesses within the city to consider moving to the 8th District.
Thank you. Dr. Batts, you're up.
The 8th District, it's taken a hit when it comes to businesses. We've lost Ralph's and Osh. We have the developer that backed out. Our Bixby Knolls Shopping Center just recently lost CVS and Rite Aid. We have a lot of work to do with economic development in addition to addressing public safety. Our small businesses, a lot of owners don't feel safe. So really honing in and working with the 9th District City Councilwoman, Dr. Joni, and the business improvement district that's existing now, the Uptown BID, and it goes down the Atlantic corridor up to Market Street. So really honing in and working with the BID in order to improve the safety, the beautification, and working with other small businesses in the area.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're ready for question 3, and we're going to start with you, Dr. Batts. The City Council determines the budget for our 12 public libraries. How can the libraries better serve our diverse community?
Oh, that's such a great question. I remember we stayed right behind the North Long Beach Library, and it is so essential to have these available for our community, especially our diverse community. We need to be able to have resources, computers available for access so people can do their proper research. The internet capabilities, so those who do not have access to internet can access the library so that they can do their homework, so that they can provide the proper research, apply for scholarships for further education. Having access in the libraries is essential, especially in the 8th District, because we no longer have our library. We have to travel to the 9th District.
Okay, Ms. Thrashentuk, let me repeat the question for you. The City Council determines the budget for our 12 public libraries. How can the libraries better serve our diverse community?
Great question. The 8th District doesn't have its own library, but there are several libraries nearby, including the Michelle Obama Library, as well as the Dana Branch Library, that are connected or closely within the area of the district. The library is a place that, as a young girl growing up, I had a chance to read excellent books. And the library right now, especially the Michelle Obama Library, is an important community resource. That community room is something that's used by all throughout the city. In addition to that, we have a display case there that can showcase a lot of our different diversity within the city. We also offer several days a week within our library, making sure that we have outreach workers there that can connect with those who are unhoused, and I think that's really important. Our libraries also have an opportunity to be able to share resources such as where can you get utility assistance or rental assistance. So I'd love to make sure that our libraries are a beacon of hope in our community that have a series of resources that are available for all.
Thank you.
We have one more question before your closing statement. We'll start with Ms. Thrash-Ntuk. Both of you highlight homelessness and public safety in your candidate statements. If elected, how would you address these concerns?
As someone who is well-versed in the issue of homelessness, having for more than a decade done the homeless count here in Long Beach and ensuring in the north part of our city that I understood the experiences and what was happening with people who were unhoused. As someone who has served on numerous boards here in the region, across the state, and has been selected internationally to go and study the issue of homelessness to better understand how can we apply different strategies here in the U.S. in order to achieve a zero homelessness. I'm the only candidate with that kind of experience and background. Currently, right now, I'm in the process of making sure that we're bringing to the city of Long Beach the Housing California Conference that'll take place in March. That will have statewide practitioners here to think about, study, and to really come up with ideas that help to address the issue. When it comes to public safety, for me, it is connected to that economic vibrancy. I'm the only candidate that has public safety support and will work to ensure that with the housing as well as with our, let me finish my thought, as well as with,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thrash-Ntuk. Let me repeat the question, Dr. Batts. Both of you highlight homelessness and public safety in your candidate statements. If elected, how would you address these concerns?
Well, I am the only candidate that has 15 plus years experience in safety, so I will tap into my expertise and providing a risk assessment of the areas that are specific to the 8th District. Making sure that we understand the exact issues that all of our homeless people are experiencing. I was part of the homeless count. When you're communicating with those who are unhoused, each one has a different need. We need to make sure that we are data-driven and we are very specific to the needs of those that are in our district and provide those resources, connecting with nonprofit organizations, connecting with and providing the resources that are needed for those who are unhoused.
Thank you, Dr. Batts.
Okay, it's time for closing statements. This time we'll start with Dr. Batts.
1 minute, that's always quick. Thank you guys. I just want you all to know I'm at a point in my life where I can make a significant difference. As an All-American Olympic athlete, I am a team player and will bring a high-level sense of commitment and discipline and include everyone. My strengths are in business development, safety, risk mitigation, sustainability, and I am motivated to make a difference for all residents. I want to be the voice and a champion for our neighborhoods. We have a chance to keep our kids and our grandkids living in a vibrant, inclusive, and safe district. I'm endorsed by District Councilman of the 8th District right now, Al Austin, And along with other leaders in the city, I have the support from many of the neighborhood association presidents. We have the opportunity to continue the good work that's been done and address the glaring issues.
Thank you, Dr. Batts. Ms. Strachan, to your closing statement, please.
I have a long track record of getting things done. I look around this audience and I know a number of people who are aware of that. I talked about it during the height of the pandemic. I helped to organize in North Long Beach food drives at Jordan High School. During the height of the pandemic and throughout that time, I have also walked door to door with our small businesses, ensuring that they had access to resources. I was responsible for helping to co-chair the Everyone In Economic Inclusion Initiative, culminating in the city's first Economic Equity Summit. And when the need to pull together a team on behalf of Mayor Rex Richardson was called, I was the co-chair of the Opportunity Beach Initiative that brought forth several agenda items that supported his first 100 days in office. My track record, my experience are ready for the 8th District in this city. I look forward to being able to serve the people of this district and to give them the kind of voice that they deserve in City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Strachan. This concludes our forum for the position of City Council for District 8. Please join me in thanking our candidates. Good luck to all.
We will not be doing District 4 tonight, so thank you everyone for your attention and support. Before you all leave, here's some very important information. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, March 5th. Polls are open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. It's also the last day to vote by mail. Parking is free tonight, so be sure and get validated before you leave. This concludes tonight's forum. On behalf of Leadership Long Beach and the more than 2,000 alum and our adult and youth programs, please join me in thanking all our volunteers who helped out tonight. Thank you. Can't do this without them, for sure. Finally, we'd like to thank all of you who took time out of your busy schedule to be better informed and engage in your community. We hope to see you again in October when we convene for the runoff elections, additional ballot measures, and hear from those seeking countywide office. Have a wonderful evening, and be sure to express yourself and vote.